Hello, this is Brian Rezny, President of Rezny Wealth Management, bringing you an important update about the economy and the investment markets. We're clearly into 2019. Firmly, the economy is doing well. We're expecting GDP growth this year somewhere around 2.5% full year. It could be potentially better, but I think 2.5 is realistic. There is going to be some impact from the trade tariffs and such, but I think it's going to be very minimal. Maybe 1 or 0.2% off GDP, which is really insignificant to the overall number. China clearly is slowing, and some of the trade tariffs that we are putting on them are having an impact on their economy. So eventually, hopefully, they're going to have to come to the table and actually negotiate and do a fair trade with the U.S. Because again, as I've talked before, China's been a bad actor not only for the U.S. but around the world. We look at job growth, wage growth in the U.S. We look at retail sales that came out just last week, and all excellent. This tells you that the economy is in the right track. Now, one of the things I will say is valuations of the overall equity market are up there a little bit. If earnings do come in as anticipated, that will bring the PE ratio down a little bit. But I would not expect the lofty gains we saw the first half of this year continue into the second. And we are looking potentially for some kind of pullback. Remember, statistically, every single year we get about a 10 to 12% pullback in the equity markets inter-year. Sometime. It doesn't mean that we're negative for the year, but if you're up 12% for the year, we come down 10% and the market then recoups that potentially by the end of the year, you could still end up with a really good return. Now, I'm not saying we're going to have a correction, but reality is we have one every single year. Most people forget about the one last year or the year before, but they do occur. So remember, volatility is normal. Inter-year volatility and corrections of all asset categories, whether it's the bond market, real estate, gold, whatever, will have inter-year pullbacks. This is healthy market corrections that ultimately we believe allows the markets to go higher. The big key is this. What's going to happen with the upcoming election? And I've repeatedly talked about this, where I feel our president will be a two-term president because of the quality policies his administration is putting out. Whether you like the president or don't, it's policies that matter, and he's getting the actual job done, which is what I like. We wouldn't have the kind of job creation, we wouldn't have the kind of corporate growth we're having, which of course creates more jobs. He's doing a great job across the seas with a lot of the geopolitical events. Of course, we've got issues. These need to be dealt with. The big thing that I'm most concerned about is really our ballooning deficit. And again, they've talked yesterday about increasing that debt ceiling. That I don't like. It has to be dealt with. Now, potentially, what I think may happen is they may issue long-term bonds at dirt cheap interest rates and amortize that debt and inflate our way out of it over the next 20 or 30 years, which would be the smart move. That may happen in the second cycle for our president, the second term, I should say. So ultimately, debt is a problem, but remember, we're paying very dirt cheap interest rates on that debt. And if our government does what I think they're going to do down the road, amortize that debt long-term at cheap rates, we actually inflate ourselves out. It's a manageable problem that can be corrected over time. But we need to get the Democrats and the Republicans, which really both have a spending problem, in the right sync. If you're a client of our firm, give us a call if you have any questions about your portfolio or we need to do a portfolio review. If you're not a client of our firm, it's time you became a client of Rezny Wealth Management. Real advice, real money management, 100% of the time, working as a fee-only fiduciary money manager. Have yourself a safe and profitable day.